Ready to level up your social skills?
Yeah.
Today we're going on a journey into the world of social interaction, using insights from the book, How to Talk to Anyone.
It's really amazing how much impact we can have on others and ourselves just by fine-tuning our everyday social skills.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with first impressions. Those crucial first few seconds when you meet someone for the first time and they're sizing you up.
It's true. People form judgments incredibly quickly and often subconsciously. Everything from your facial expressions and your posture, even your choice of clothing, all contribute to that initial snapshot that people get of you.
Okay, so then how do we make sure that that snapshot is a positive one?
Well, one of the most powerful tools is a genuine smile. And I don't mean just like a quick fleeting grin, but a smile that slowly spreads across your face like a sunrise. It signals warmth, authenticity, and it's incredibly contagious. We call it the flooding smile.
I love that image of a flooding smile. It feels so much more genuine and inviting than a forced grin. But what about body language? I've heard that it speaks volumes even before we say a word.
Absolutely. Think about how you're holding yourself. Shoulders back, arms relaxed, maybe a slight lean in. This shows that you're engaged and receptive to whoever you're talking to. You can also subtly mirror the other person's movements. Like if they lean forward, you might do the same a little later. It creates this unspoken sense of, we're on the same wavelength.
Mirroring, that's fascinating. But isn't it a bit risky to copy someone's behavior? Won't they think I'm mocking them?
It's all about being subtle and natural. You're not trying to mimic them exactly, but rather create a subtle sense of harmony and connection. Think of it like speaking their nonverbal language.
Subtle mirroring. I'll have to try that. And what about clothing? I mean, does what we wear play a role in those crucial first impressions?
Oh, absolutely. Your choice of clothing sends signals about your personality,
Yeah.
your level of self-respect, and how you view the situation. But the most important thing is to dress in a way that makes you feel confident. When you feel good in what you're wearing, that inner confidence shines through and people pick up on it.
So it's not really about following the latest trends, but finding clothes that just make you feel your best. It's like that saying, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. But in this case, it's dress for the confidence you want to project.
Exactly. When you feel confident, you're more likely to make eye contact and engage in conversation and just project this aura of ease and approachability.
That makes total sense. Okay, so we've laid the foundation with a killer smile, open body language, and a confident look. But what about one of the most crucial elements of social interaction? Eye contact. How much is too much?
You're right, eye contact is a powerful tool. And it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're conveying warmth and interest without making the other person feel uncomfortable. One technique is to imagine your eyes are slightly sticky. Like let your gaze linger just a bit longer than usual, showing that you're truly present and engaged in what they're saying.
Sticky eyes. That's a great visual. But wouldn't staring constantly at somebody be a bit intense? How do we find that balance between engagement and, those natural breaks in eye contact?
Well, it's natural to glance away periodically to gather your thoughts or observe your surroundings, but the key is to bring your gaze back to maintain that connection. Think of it like a dance. You're engaged, then you take a brief pause, then you re-engage.
Oh, so it's a rhythm, a back and forth that keeps the conversation flowing. And
Right.
what about smizing? I've heard that smiling with your eyes can add another layer of warmth and connection.
Smizing is a great way to enhance your eye contact. It adds a subtle layer of warmth and approachability. Think about a time when you made a genuine connection with someone. Chances are your eyes were smiling along with your mouth.
Yeah, it's like our eyes are reflecting that inner feeling of joy and connection. Okay, so we've nailed the first impression. We're rocking the sticky eyes and smizing like pros. Now, how do we keep the conversation itself flowing and engaging?
That's where active listening comes in. It's not just about waiting for your turn to speak, but truly tuning in to what the other person is saying, asking clarifying questions and offering little verbal affirmations to keep the conversation moving.
I see. So it's about showing that we're truly present and interested in what they have to say.
Eh.
What kind of verbal affirmations are we talking about?
Oh, simple phrases like, I see, that's fascinating, or tell me more. These little cues let them know you're following along and you're eager to hear more.
So it's like we're sprinkling these little breadcrumbs of encouragement throughout the conversation. But sometimes conversations can feel a bit like ping pong. Just back and forth, back and forth. How do we break out of that pattern and make them more dynamic?
One powerful technique is to ask open-ended questions. Instead of those yes or no questions, try something like, what was that like? This invites them to share more details, to tell a story, and really bring the conversation to life.
What was that like? I love that. It's such a simple prompt, but it can unlock so much depth and richness in a conversation. It's like we're inviting them to paint a picture with their words.
Exactly. You're giving them the space to share their experiences and perspectives, which naturally creates a more engaging and memorable conversation.
So it's about shifting from information exchange to shared experience. Now, we talked about mirroring body language earlier, but can we do that with words as well?
Absolutely. Mirroring isn't just about body language. It can also be used verbally. Try subtly reflecting key phrases or words back to the person you're talking to. It shows that you're really listening and creates that we're on the same page feeling.
So it's like a verbal nod of understanding. I'm starting to see how all these little things can add up to create a much richer and more connected interaction.
Exactly. And it's these small details that often make the difference between a forgettable conversation and one that leaves a lasting positive impression.
Okay, let's say I'm chatting with someone at a party and we found some common ground. How can we use that commonality to build a stronger connection?
Common ground is like conversational gold. When you discover shared interests, similar experiences, or even just a mutual appreciation for a good cup of coffee, the conversation flows more naturally. It's like you found a shortcut to connection.
So it's about looking for those me too moments, those points of connection that make us feel like we're on the same wavelength. But how do we find that common ground without making it feel forced or awkward?
The key is to be genuinely curious. Ask questions, listen attentively, and those shared interests will often reveal themselves organically. You're not trying to force it, but rather create the space for those connections to emerge naturally.
So it's about creating a welcoming atmosphere where their shared interests can bubble up organically. Now, let's say we're at a party, chatting with a few people, and someone new approaches the group. How do we smoothly include them in the conversation without it feeling awkward or forced?
There's a technique called the big baby pivot that can work wonders in this situation.
The big baby pivot. I love the name. Tell me more.
Imagine a baby turning its whole body towards a familiar voice. That's the energy we're going for. When someone new joins the group, turn your head, shoulders, and even your torso towards them. A warm smile and a quick "come join us" makes them feel instantly welcome.
I love that visual. It's not just about making eye contact, but actually shifting our body language to include them in the circle.
Exactly. It's a subtle but powerful way to show that you're open and welcoming to new people joining the conversation.
Okay, I'm definitely adding the big baby pivot to my social toolkit. Now, we've talked about making the most of existing conversations, but how do we create more opportunities for connection in the first place? I mean, we can't just wait for conversations to magically appear right.
You're absolutely right. It's about being proactive and creating those opportunities for connection. Don't wait for them to happen, make them happen.
Okay, I love that proactive energy. But how do we actually make those connections happen?
It's all about putting yourself out there. Attend events, join groups, introduce yourself to new people, and follow up afterwards. Treat every interaction as a chance to learn something new, share a laugh, or simply brighten someone's day. That positive energy is magnetic.
So it's about being open to new experiences, stepping outside our comfort zones, and approaching each interaction with a sense of curiosity and enthusiasm.
Exactly. And the more you practice, the more natural and effortless it will become. It's like building a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Practice makes perfect right. Okay, we've created that opportunity for connection. We've introduced ourselves, maybe found some common ground. Now, how do we build rapport quickly? Sometimes that click happens instantly, but what about those times when it takes a bit more effort?
Building rapport quickly is all about combining active listening, genuine interest, and those subtle techniques that create a sense of connection. Remember, when people feel heard and understood, rapport naturally follows.
So it's about being truly present in the conversation, not just waiting for our turn to speak, but really listening and trying to understand the other person's perspective.
Exactly. And remember, mirroring is back. Subtly matching their body language and tone can create that subconscious bond.
But isn't it a bit risky to copy someone's behavior? Won't they think I'm mocking them?
Again, it's all about subtlety. You're not mimicking them exactly, but rather creating a subtle sense of harmony. It's like speaking their nonverbal language, showing them you're on the same wavelength.
Okay, subtle mirroring it is. Any other tips for building rapport quickly?
Empathy is incredibly powerful. Use phrases like, "I understand how you feel," or That sounds challenging, to show you're trying to see things from their perspective. And never underestimate the power of a genuine smile and open body language.
Yeah, those nonverbal cues can make such a difference in how we're perceived. Okay, but what about those of us who struggle with social anxiety or shyness? All this talk about putting ourselves out there can feel pretty daunting.
Social anxiety is much more common than you think, and it's definitely something that can be managed. The key is to start small practice consistently and gradually build your confidence.
So don't try to go from wallflower to social butterfly overnight.
Exactly. Maybe start with something low pressure, like chatting with a cashier or asking a coworker about their weekend. The more you practice those small interactions, the more comfortable you'll become.
So it's like building up our social stamina gradually.
hmm
What other tips do you have for managing social anxiety?
Deep breathing and mindfulness can be incredibly helpful. When you feel that anxiety creeping in, take a few deep breaths to calm your nervous system and bring your attention back to the present moment.
So it's about taking those moments to center ourselves and reframe those anxious thoughts. It's like hitting the pause button on our anxiety and giving ourselves a chance to reset.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this. Lots of people struggle with social anxiety, and there are plenty of resources available to help you navigate it.
That's so reassuring to know. Okay, we've tackled first impressions, eye contact, engaging conversations, and even strategies for managing social anxiety. But what about adapting to different social settings? I mean, a casual party calls for a different approach than a formal business meeting, right?
You're absolutely right. Every social setting has its own unique vibe and unspoken rules of engagement. The key is to adjust your communication style accordingly. Your tone volume and even the topics you choose should match the environment.
So if I'm at a business meeting, I should probably dial back the jokes about the latest viral meme.
Probably a wise choice. And in a more casual setting, you can relax your language and share more personal anecdotes.
It's all about reading the room and adapting our style accordingly. Any other tips for navigating those different social landscapes?
No matter the setting, remember that confidence is key. Stand tall, smile, and speak clearly. It not only makes you feel good, but it also projects an aura of ease and approachability.
Confidence is definitely contagious. So even if you're feeling a bit nervous, projecting confidence can actually help you feel more at ease and make a better impression.
Exactly. And remember, the more you practice adapting to different social settings, the more comfortable you'll become.
It's like anything else. The more we practice, the more skilled and adaptable we become. Okay, we've covered so much ground today, from mastering those all-important first impressions to building rapport and handling social anxiety. But I feel like there's one crucial piece missing, the secret ingredient that truly makes connections meaningful and lasting. What's that magic ingredient?
You're talking about authenticity.
Yes, being our genuine selves, not just putting on a show or trying to be someone we're not. Why is authenticity so crucial in social interactions?
Being your genuine self is the foundation of all truly meaningful connections.
Okay, I love that, but why is it so crucial? What makes authenticity such a powerful force in building relationships?
Because authenticity equals trust and credibility. People can spot a fake a mile away, so embrace your unique quirks and let your true personality shine.
So it's about letting go of the pressure to be perfect and embracing what makes us unique.
Exactly. Trying to be someone you're not is exhausting and unsustainable.
It's like wearing a mask. Eventually it gets tiring and uncomfortable.
Exactly. When you're authentic, you can relax, be yourself, and connect with others on a deeper level.
That makes sense. Authenticity allows for more genuine and fulfilling connections. But how do we become more authentic in our interactions? It's not like we can just flip a switch and suddenly become our truest selves.
It's a process, and it starts with self-awareness. Take some time to reflect on your values, beliefs, and what truly matters to you.
So it's about getting to know ourselves better so we can show up more authentically in our interactions.
Exactly. And remember, authenticity doesn't mean sharing every single thought or feeling with everyone you meet. It's about being true to yourself while also being mindful of the context and the people you're interacting with.
Right. It's about finding that balance between being genuine and being appropriate for the situation. So we just finished talking about the importance of authenticity and how to cultivate more genuine connections by being our true selves. Now let's dive into the idea of continuous practice and observation when it comes to our social skills. It's not about just learning these skills once and then calling it a day, right?
Exactly. Social skills, just like any other skill, need to be honed and refined over time. It's an ongoing process of learning, adapting, and growing.
So how can we make sure that we're continuously practicing and improving those skills What does that actually look like in our everyday lives?
Well, one of the best ways to practice is to simply pay attention to how other people interact. Become a student of social dynamics.
So it's like we're surrounded by all these social masters, and we can learn so much just by observing them in action.
Absolutely. Watch how people handle introductions, how they keep conversations flowing, how they use their body language and tone of voice. It's like having a front row seat to a masterclass in social skills.
Yeah, I love that. It's like tuning everyday life into our own personal social skills laboratory.
hmm
But how do we avoid feeling like we're just copying or mimicking others?
Yeah, it's not about mimicking, but rather about identifying those subtle techniques that resonate with you and then incorporating them into your own unique style.
So it's about finding inspiration from others and then making it our own. What are some specific things we should be paying attention to when we're observing others?
Well, pay attention to their body language. Are they open and engaging? Do they make eye contact? How do they use gestures to emphasize their points? All of these nonverbal cues can have a huge impact on how we're perceived by others.
Yeah, we talked earlier about the importance of open body language, sticky eyes, and all those subtle nonverbal cues. What else should we be observing?
Listen to their tone of voice. Is it warm and inviting? Do they vary their pitch and pace to keep things interesting? And pay attention to the words they choose. Are they clear and concise? Do they use humor effectively?
So it's not just about what they say, but how they say it. It's about those subtle nuances that make a conversation engaging and enjoyable. It's like they're composing this symphony of words and nonverbal cues.
Exactly. And remember, observation isn't just a passive activity. You can actively engage with the people you're observing by asking questions and learning from their experiences.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's like turning those observations into these mini mentoring sessions. What kind of questions could we ask?
You could ask them about their approach to networking or how they handle difficult conversations or even what advice they would give to someone who's trying to improve their social skills. People are often happy to share their insights and experiences, especially if they see that you're genuinely interested in learning.
Yeah, I love that. It's like turning those everyday interactions into opportunities for growth and learning. Now, while practice is important, is there ever a time when we should not be practicing our social skills? Are there situations where it's better to kind of lay low and just observe?
Yeah, that's a great question. While consistency is key, there are definitely times when it's more appropriate to take a step back and simply observe. For example, if you're in a highly sensitive or emotionally charged situation, it might be best to just listen attentively and offer support rather than trying to dominate the conversation.
Right. It's about being sensitive to the context and the needs of others. Sometimes the most helpful thing we can do is just listen and be present.
Exactly. And remember, even when you're not actively engaging, you can still be learning and growing by observing the dynamics of the situation and how other people are responding.
So it's about being a mindful observer, even when we're not the center of attention. Okay, we've talked a lot about the importance of practice and observation, but are there any specific exercises or techniques that we can use to accelerate our social skills development? Are there any social workouts we can do to get those social muscles in shape?
Absolutely. Just like any skill, there are specific exercises you can do to target and improve different aspects of your social interactions. Think of it like hitting the social gym.
Okay, I'm ready to pump some social iron. What kind of exercises are we talking about?
One fun exercise is what I call the Conversation Starter Challenge. Challenge yourself to come up with 10 different conversation starters that you can use in various social situations. Think about open-ended questions that invite people to share their thoughts and experiences.
Oh, I like that. It's like a mental workout for our conversational muscles.
Exactly. And once you have your list of conversation starters, challenge yourself to use at least one of them every day.
So it's about turning those conversation starters into conversation initiators. What other social exercises can we try?
Another great exercise is the active listening workout. Choose a conversation partner. It could be a friend, family member, or even a stranger. Challenge yourself to listen attentively without interrupting or offering your own opinions.
So it's about really focusing on what the other person is saying and trying to understand their perspective without jumping in with our own thoughts and opinions.
Precisely. And once the other person has finished speaking, summarize what you heard to make sure that you understood them correctly.
Oh, that's a great way to practice active listening
Yeah.
and ensure that we're truly engaged in the conversation. It's like giving them the gift of truly being heard and understood. What other social workouts can we try?
Another powerful exercise is the body language boot camp. Spend some time observing your own body language in social situations. Are you making eye contact? Is your posture open and inviting? Are you using gestures effectively?
Right. It's like becoming more aware of our own nonverbal communication and how it impacts our interactions with others.
Exactly. And once you've identified areas where you can improve, practice incorporating those positive body language cues into your interactions.
It's like giving our nonverbal communication a makeover.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Now, while it's great to have all these tools and techniques, are there any common pitfalls we should be aware of when we're practicing our social skills? Are there any mistakes that people often make that we should try to avoid?
That's a great question. We don't want to accidentally sabotage our efforts, right?
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
One common pitfall is trying to be someone you're not. It's tempting to try to impress others or fit in by adopting a persona that you think will be more likable. But ultimately, authenticity is key to building genuine connections.
Right. We talked earlier about the importance of embracing our true selves. So it's about celebrating our unique quirks and letting go of that pressure to be perfect.
Exactly. Trying to be someone you're not is exhausting and ultimately unsustainable.
Okay. What other pitfalls should we be aware of?
Another common mistake is focusing too much on ourselves, our own anxieties, our own desire to be liked, our own need to fill the silence. Instead, try to shift your focus to the other person. Be genuinely curious about them, ask questions, and listen attentively to their responses.
So it's about making the conversation about them, not about us. It's about shifting from me to we.
Precisely. When we shift our focus away from ourselves and onto the other person, we create space for genuine connection and understanding.
That's a powerful shift in perspective. It's like we're taking the spotlight off ourselves and shining it on the other person, allowing their brilliance to shine through.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And remember, building social skills is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when you feel awkward, when you make mistakes, when you feel like you're not making progress. But it's important to be patient with yourself and to keep practicing. The more you put yourself out there, the more comfortable and confident you'll become.
I love that encouragement. It's about embracing the process and celebrating those small wins along the way. It's like we're learning a new dance, and sometimes we'll step on our partner's toes, but that's all part of the learning process.
Exactly. And remember, every interaction, every conversation is an opportunity for growth and learning.
We were just diving into some techniques to become more mindful and effective listeners in our everyday conversations. It's amazing how much richer our interactions can be when we truly tune in and engage with the person we're talking to.
Absolutely. Active listening is like unlocking a secret door to deeper connection and understanding. It's about being fully present in the moment, absorbing not just the words, but also the emotions and the unspoken messages behind those words.
So we're not just hearing what they're saying, we're really feeling it too.
Exactly. It's like stepping into their shoes, experiencing the world from their perspective. And it's in that space of shared understanding that true empathy and connection can flourish.
Okay, so we're paying attention to their words, their tone, their body language, all those subtle cues that make up the tapestry of communication. What do we do with all that information once we've absorbed it?
Well, one of the most powerful things you can do is to reflect back what you've heard. This shows the other person that you're truly listening and that you understand their perspective. It's like you're holding up a mirror to their experience, validating their feelings and acknowledging their point of view.
So it's not just about nodding and saying, uh-huh, but actually demonstrating that we've grasped the essence of what they're saying.
Exactly. You can summarize what you've heard, paraphrase their points, or ask clarifying questions. It's all about showing them that you're not just hearing their words, but you're really taking them in.
It's like we're creating this feedback loop of understanding where their message is received and then reflected back in a way that shows we're truly present and engaged.
Precisely. And remember, active listening isn't about judging or offering solutions. It's about creating a safe and supportive space for the other person to share their thoughts and feelings without fear of interruption or judgment.
So we're holding that space for them to be fully seen and heard without feeling the need to fix or advise.
Exactly. And when we truly listen, we open ourselves up to a deeper understanding of the other person. And that deeper understanding can lead to stronger, more meaningful connections.
It's like active listening is the key that unlocks those deeper levels of connection and empathy. Now, while active listening is essential for building strong relationships, there are times when we need to express our own thoughts and feelings clearly and effectively. How do we find that balance between being a good listener and being an assertive communicator?
That's a great question. Assertive communication is about expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs in a direct and respectful way. It's about standing up for yourself while also respecting the rights and opinions of others.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between being a pushover and being aggressive. It's about communicating our needs and boundaries in a way that's both clear and considerate.
Exactly. One key element of assertive communication is using I statements. Instead of blaming or accusing the other person, focus on how their behavior is impacting you.
So instead of saying, "you're always late," I could say, "when you're late, it makes me feel disrespected and unimportant."
Precisely. By framing your statements in this way, you're taking ownership of your feelings and expressing your needs without attacking the other person.
Right. It's like we're taking the sting out of our communication and replacing it with a more compassionate and understanding approach.
That's a great way to put it. Another key element of assertive communication is being clear and direct. Don't beat around the bush or try to sugarcoat your message.
So it's about being straightforward and honest without being harsh or disrespectful.
Precisely. And remember, assertiveness isn't about winning or getting your way all the time. It's about finding a solution that works for both parties.
It's about collaborating and finding that win-win scenario.
Exactly. And when we communicate assertively, we're not only respecting our own needs and boundaries, but also modeling healthy communication for others.
It's like we're creating this ripple effect of positive communication that extends outward into our relationships and communities.
Beautifully said. Now, while we've been focusing on the interpersonal aspects of communication, let's zoom out a bit and talk about the role of communication in the workplace. Effective communication is essential for success in any career, whether we're leading a team, collaborating with colleagues, or presenting our ideas to clients. What are your top tips for becoming more effective communicators in the workplace?
I think that's such a relevant topic in today's world. In today's fast-paced, interconnected work environment, strong communication skills are more important than ever. So what are some key principles we can apply to enhance our communication at work?
One key principle is clarity. Be clear and concise in your communication, both written and verbal. Avoid jargon and technical terms that your audience might not understand.
So it's about making sure our message is crystal clear, using language that resonates with our audience and avoids any unnecessary confusion.
Exactly. And remember, active listening is just as crucial in the workplace as it is in our personal lives. When you truly listen to your colleagues, clients, and superiors, you build trust and rapport, and you're more likely to find solutions that work for everyone.
It's about creating that collaborative win-win environment where everyone feels heard and valued. What other tips do you have for enhancing communication in the workplace?
Be mindful of your nonverbal communication. Your body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions can convey just as much as your words, if not more.
So it's about making sure those nonverbal cues are aligned with our message and projecting confidence and professionalism.
Precisely. And remember, feedback is essential for growth and development. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback from your colleagues and superiors, and be open to receiving constructive criticism.
It's about embracing those opportunities for growth and learning, even when it's a bit uncomfortable.
Exactly. And when you give feedback, do so in a constructive and supportive way. Focus on specific behaviors and offer suggestions for improvement.
So it's about framing our feedback in a way that's helpful and empowering, not critical or judgmental.
Precisely. Now, while we've covered a lot of ground today, from the power of first impressions to the nuances of workplace communication, I want to emphasize that social skills are like any other skill. They require practice and ongoing refinement. The more you engage in social situations, the more comfortable and confident you'll become.
It's about embracing those opportunities to connect, to learn, and to grow our social muscles.
Exactly. And remember, even small improvements can make a big difference. So keep practicing, keep observing, and keep experimenting. The rewards of developing strong social skills are truly immeasurable.
Thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom and insight with us today. It's been an enriching and inspiring conversation, and I'm feeling energized and motivated to go out there and put these skills into practice.
It's been a pleasure diving deep into this topic with you. And remember, building strong social skills is a journey, not a destination. Keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep embracing the joy of human interaction.
And to all of our amazing listeners out there, we hope you found this deep dive into the world of social interaction insightful and empowering. Remember, the ability to connect with others is a gift, and the more we cultivate those connections, the richer and more fulfilling our lives become. We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.